Hi, I'm Ree from mummyoffour.com. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all staying safe and well. Today's video, I am talking about how you can protect your mental health as a mum so you can really hold it together for your family while we are going through this whole pandemic COVID-19 crisis. I know that a lot of us are finding it very, very difficult. We are stuck at home during this lockdown, and I'm sharing with you today some tips for how to practically get through it, manage anxiety, and stay as positive as possible. So I hope this video really helps. Before we get into that, if you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Usually I do shop with me and haul videos, obviously some like haul videos at the moment, but no, not so much shop with me because we're not going out. We have a whole renovation series. We are doing up a new house to move into, so as soon as everything calms down there'll be a lot more of that. There's plenty of that on the channel that you can watch and enjoy, and I also do a lot of speed cleaning, things like that, as well as parenting tips, tricks, hacks and advice. So I hope that you will enjoy all of those videos. Now let's get into the tips. This video is about how we can protect our mental health, specifically as mums, while all this craziness is going on, because it's a scary time. Every time we turn on the news, there's something else that's really alarming for us to worry about. And I don't know about you, but as a mum, I feel quite anxious. I've gone through periods of kind of anxiety and things since having my children, where I've worried about them terribly, because it's just naturally, as a mother, you want to protect them, don't you? So all this is going on in every corner of the world at the moment, and it's very natural for us to feel horrendously anxious. The reason I'm filming this video today is I actually had a bit of a wobble myself this morning. I'll just tell you the story quickly and then we'll get into the tips. Basically, I was cutting my own fringe, which, as you can see, I didn't do an amazing job of, but you know, needs must. We've not got hair and nails and stuff being done at the moment because, you know, we're not going out, we're not seeing anyone. So I was cutting my own fringe and it was going horribly wrong, and it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I've been trying to stay really positive. I have been working from home. I work full-time from home, but I've been working from home as I normally would. I have got my 4 children home with me, 5 if you count my husband, and still all my kind of usual jobs and duties that I would do, but then they're all here more, so therefore they're eating more, therefore they're making more mess, trying to get everything done and trying to stay positive. And I'm the kind of the cheerleader of the family that kind of keeps everyone going and keeps everyone upbeat, and if anyone's feeling down, I drag them up. And I just this morning thought, I feel so overwhelmed, and I've got all these people that you see online that are bored and they've got loads of time and they want to fit all this stuff in, and I just suddenly felt overwhelmed. And we've been coping really well up until now. I have got a schedule that I'm following with the children. It is going fantastically well. I have done a video about our home learning schedule, and I shall a blog post with a printable schedule, so I will link all of that below. And it's been working really well. But I just had this moment where I thought, ugh, it's all too much and I can't cope. So tip number 1, when you have those moments, stop and acknowledge them. If you acknowledge what is happening, it's much easier to deal with. So if you acknowledge, I am feeling anxiety because of the situation I'm in at the moment, and this is totally normal, just by calling it out like that instantly makes it easier to deal with. By calling it out and going, right, I'm feeling this anxiety, and most people in the country are feeling this at the moment, I'm having a bit of a wobble and that's okay. By allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to feel that, it will instantly ease the pressure. Trust me. So the next thing I did this morning, so this is my next tip, is to sort of have a little family meeting and explain to your family that there is a lot going on and life is different for the time being, and perhaps we need to re-examine people's jobs and roles within the house. So normally I do all of the washing and the cleaning, because I am home more. I do work from home, but I am home more, so they kind of fall under my jobs. My husband does kind of the car and the garden and the outside stuff, and he's renovating our new house, so you know, all those kind of things. But at the moment, everybody's home, everybody's eating more, everyone's making more mess. And while I am a big believer in getting my children to help, I've always got them involved, as you know if you've been following me for a while, suddenly there's just more to do around the house, and I just was feeling like there were not enough hours in the day. I really need to keep pushing ahead, as I'm the only one sort of officially working at the moment, so I feel the kind of pressure for that. So I sat down with my family, and I urge you to do this too, to say, do you know what, guys? I'm struggling a bit. How can we help out? So for example, I would normally load all the washing into the washing machine and then move it into the dryer, and then I would sort it into boxes, and the children would take away their own boxes. This is all in my laundry routine video, which you can take a look at afterwards. But normally they would be given their own boxes to put away, and then they would put away their own clothes. But I said, do you know what, guys? You're home more at the moment, so maybe all the stuff as it comes out the dryer, you can help sort that into the different people's boxes. So that's one less job for mummy. And that's something the children have agreed to do. That's an extra job that they can do. My husband, after we had the chat this morning, cleaned the house, which is great because that took the pressure off, because I didn't have to do that. So it is worth sitting and having a chat with your family and just kind of redistributing the jobs and adjusting expectations of what's to go on around the house. My next tip is to get dressed. I know this might sound simple, but it is so easy, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, let me know in the comments if you found this, that since the whole lockdown thing, it's so easy to just not get dressed and just stay in your pajamas all day, like you're having a big lazy day. But by doing that, you are not triggering something in your mind that says it is time to be up, it is time to be doing things. It's called pajama syndrome. Look it up, Google it. It's called pajama syndrome. And they found even in hospitals, people that they asked to, in the morning when they were well enough, change into normal clothes and be in day clothes and kind of have that transition from rest time to daytime, had kind of better outcomes and recovered quicker than people that stayed in their pajamas all the time. So super important tip. In the morning, get dressed. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can get dressed into super comfy clothes. Look, I'm wearing yoga pants. It's fine. But I got dressed out of what I was wearing in the night. My mind said, it's time for the day. My next tip is to make your bed. Again, this is part of my morning routine, something we always do on a normal day, but a made bed just makes the whole place look tidier. Even if the rest of the room is a bit of a mess, if you've got a nicely made bed, the room looks instantly tidier. And it's just a really good habit to get into. If you haven't taught your children to make their beds yet, this is your opportunity, and this is definitely a habit you should carry on into when they are going back to school too. So making your bed for the win. Give it a try and let me know, but it will make all the difference. My next tip is to get some fresh air. Now the current guidelines on the day that I'm filming this is that we're all allowed to leave our house once a day for one form of exercise of a normal length of exercise. So I think that's like, you're not allowed to stay out all day or whatever, you can just go for a walk or a run, and we're supposed to do that near our house. We're not supposed to drive to go exercising. Now if you have got a garden, this is great. That's the easiest and safest place to exercise because you're not coming into contact with anyone else. So if you have a garden, go out into it. If you do not have a garden, take the opportunity to get outside. If the weather is too disgusting to get outside, just open the window and get some fresh air in just for a little bit. Honestly, if you wake up in the morning and open the windows and let in some fresh air, you're instantly more awake, instantly feeling a lot better. And if you can actually physically get outside too, you feel less cooped up and restricted, and it will make all the difference to your mental health. Honestly, I cannot tell you how many times during this lockdown I've thought, ugh, and then thought, right, everyone out the garden, and I've instantly felt better. My next tip is to create a power playlist, and this is a list of super uplifting songs. Now back in the day when I was younger, this would have been like a mixtape, wouldn't it, where we made all the songs that we like, but now we've got iTunes or Spotify or whatever it might be. All you can do, touch a button, make yourself a little playlist. So get on this playlist all the most uplifting songs, the songs that make you go from to woohoo, and just get the songs on whenever you're feeling a bit down. Hit play on your power playlist and get that music pumping, and it will instantly elevate your mood. My next tip is to move your body. Now this could be going outside for your exercise, but it could be yoga in the house. There are so many fantastic YouTube videos for exercise. It's just a case of picking something that works for you, something you enjoy. But by moving your body, because obviously cooped up in the house, we're moving our bodies a lot less than we would, we're not walking back and forth school and things. By making allocated time to move your body, it will improve your physical health, which will instantly improve your mental health too. Remember that power playlist I talked about? Moving your body could be something as simple as putting on your playlist and having a dance party in the kitchen. Honestly, it will make you feel so much better. My next tip is to practice gratitude. This is something I do every single day and it really makes a difference. Now, while there are so many things to be scared of and anxious about at the moment, and I'm not going to go into those and list those because we all know already, we can always find something to be grateful for. By really seeking out these things that we are grateful for, it has a massive impact on our mood and how anxious we feel about things. So it could be, you know, the big things. You're grateful for your family, you're grateful for them still being healthy, you're grateful for the roof over your head. But honestly, I would try and look for like little things to put on your gratitude list as well. Like, you're really grateful for the way that your children played nicely, or they sat and cuddled you while you watched a film, or a beautiful drawing that they did, or anything like that. If you can think of really quite specific things to be grateful for, and then just think about each one. Writing it down is a really good way. So you write down each thing you're grateful for. See if you can think of at least 3 each day. And then just take a second to just hold that in your mind and think about, I don't know, the picture that your little girl drew for you, and how pleased she was with herself, and how it made you feel when you saw her so happy, and the big hug she gave you afterwards after you said that you were proud of her. And just really hold that in your mind and just think how that made you feel, and try and feel those emotions and hold on to those for a few moments, and then that will instantly lift your mood. Another good practice is we go around the table at dinner time, and we've always done this even before the whole, you know, isolation thing, and talked about a peak and pit. So that's the best thing that's happened in the day, and then the thing that didn't go so well. And I know that's not necessarily practicing gratitude, but it's a good way to get out the children out of your, I know that's not necessarily a gratitude practice, but that's a good way to get out of your children what didn't go so well, and sort of a good opportunity for them to tell you what is bothering them. But really, you can just ask them for 3 things they were grateful for during the day, and maybe that might be something, you know, they'll come up with things like, I like playing in the garden, and I liked it when you did Play-Doh with me, and whatever. But it's really nice to hear what they're grateful for, and that is also a really nice way to elevate your mood. My next tip is to have a plan for home learning. Now, as I discussed before, I have got a whole printable home learning schedule that you can grab below. It works as like a framework. Don't feel you've got to stick to it exactly, but I've personally found by having a schedule and knowing what comes next, it works for a few ways. It works because my children respond really well to routine. They're going from a very structured day in school to this kind of nothingness, and that adjustment can be very difficult for them. You may or may not know that 2 of my children have autism. Children with autism really do respond well to routine, but quite frankly, even neurotypical children, that's children without autism, also respond really well to routine. So it gives them that structure. They know what's coming next. It also stops them getting bored, because if you, at the time it says to switch activities, to go from doing your focused learning to going out to the garden to whatever it might be, it stops them from getting bored. So rather than just sort of drifting through the day, it's like, right, it's time to do something else now. And then I found that has really kind of given the day momentum, and the days have gone by a lot quicker. It also means that you can plan in any work that's been done from school or whatever, that rather than looking at the end of the week and like, ugh, we haven't done this. So honestly, cannot recommend a schedule enough. But as I said, don't feel you've got to stick to it rigidly. It's a framework, it's an outline. Change it around to do what works for you, for your family. On a day where you don't get much done, don't do what I was doing this morning, beat yourself up. Just say, do you know what? This is not, I think someone DM'd me, and what did they say? This is not homeschooling, this is crisis schooling. So don't beat yourself up. Stick to it as best you can, and at least then, if it doesn't go wonderfully well, you can just start again tomorrow. My next tip is to get a bank of activities ready for your children. I actually have home learning boxes. I had these before I ever started this whole crisis homeschooling business, because I've just always picked up sort of educational toys for the children as gifts and things over the years, to do kind of activities with them. So although I've not been a proper homeschooling mum before now, I've always done activities and things with them to help with their maths and speech and language and literacy and all that kind of thing. So I have got another video, which I shall link below, all about the educational toys and resources that I have got and that I recommend. And there are also some blog posts with all the links and things. So if you are looking for some educational materials, I shall link all those below. But really, it can be as simple as not even educational things, but you just think, right, today we're going to do Play-Doh. I've got Polly Pockets lined up. I've got the doll's house, I've got the cars or whatever, and just think of like different activities of toys that you can switch around. So when you can see they're getting a bit fidgety and bored, then you can switch on to the next activity. And then having that kind of bank of activities means that when they are getting a bit iffy, you can switch on to something quite easily, put something away, get something else out, and they're more likely to have their attention kept for longer. My next tip is to declutter your house, which will in turn declutter your mind. If you are bored and looking for a project during this whole lockdown, decluttering has got to be it. Now, none of us enjoy decluttering. Don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe some people do, but I don't. I love having decluttered. I love my house being decluttered. I always find, and if you've watched my extensive amount of decluttering videos, you will have heard me talking about this before. But I always find when I start decluttering, it's quite overwhelming. And then I tip everything out because otherwise I know that I'll just, you know, walk away from it. So I tip everything out for my declutter and then I think, oh, what have I done? What have I started? But then when it is done, I feel amazing. And yes, I feel like I've got clearer headspace when I've got clear space around me. So if you want to do one thing that is super productive, because sometimes we can feel that we are not being very productive during this whole quarantine, decluttering your house, this is your opportunity to get it done. My next tip is to write an at-home bucket list. Now this could be a whole load of things that you want to get done around the house or just before the quarantine ends. So it could be that you want to finish reading a certain book that you've never had a chance to, or declutter a certain room, or paint a certain room. It could be that you want to learn something or take up something, maybe something like an exercise challenge from one of the YouTubers that you want to follow. Whatever it may be, write it down as your bucket list, and then rather than being like, oh, when is this lockdown going to end, it can be like, well, actually I've got all this stuff to get done that I really want to achieve before the end of this lockdown. And it kind of gives you a goal and gives you purpose and gives you a reason to get up in the morning. My next tip is to write a list of things that you are going to do when this lockdown has finished. Maybe you're going to resolve to start saying yes to the invitations that you used to say no to, because let's face it, none of us are going to take going out for granted again, are we? But write a list of things that you are so excited to do. So for me, I can't wait. I'm thinking about September. So it's April now. I'm thinking right in September, the worst of this will be past. My family will be healthy. And you can write this down as like a list, or you can write it down as more of like a visualization. I'm thinking, right, my family will be healthy. We will have moved into our new house. I will be walking my children to school every day. They will be happy. And I'm really sort of focusing on this kind of what we'll be doing when this is over, what we're working towards, makes me feel a lot better. My next tip is to limit your exposure to media. Now personally, I've been watching the daily briefings because I feel that they are kind of the information from the source. It's quite concise, it's quite digestible, and it's not sort of overwhelming. I know that a blogger friend of mine, you should go and follow her, actually I shall link her below, is doing fantastic Instagram stories about the media and their coverage of the whole crisis. Her Instagram handle is by Vicky Smith, and every day in her stories she's kind of looking at the press, because she used to be a tabloid journalist. She's looking at the headlines and she's saying, while this is factual, look at this inflammatory language and look at this, and it really does help to sort of provide insight into how the papers are kind of presenting everything. They are providing us with the facts, but a lot of it is kind of wanting us to click. It's making us over anxious. It's sort of unnecessary anxiety that it's causing. So it's really helped to kind of just watch the briefings and then get the news, because she takes the snippets of the news and then from those snippets she comments on them, saying, okay, this is accurate, and actually this is unfair, and actually this is inflammatory. And I have found that a much better way to digest the news with kind of a big dose of realism that she's kind of offering to go with it. So do make sure you go and follow her. She's been really helpful. I've personally found that having the news on kind of, because let's face it, we've got News 24, haven't we now? We could watch the news all day long. And while my husband's like quite keen to just have it on a lot, I find it quite damaging to my mental health. Obviously, I want to know what's going on in the world, and I want to know if there are any updates. I want to know if there's anything we should be doing. I want to know which rules we should be following. I want to know if there's any precautions we can take, or, you know, anything like that. But equally, I feel like overexposure to it is really, really not helpful, which brings me to my next tip, which is unfollow anyone that is stressing you out. So if you've got someone that's really, really like freaking out about it, or being really dramatic, or just anything that you find quite triggering, it might be a news account, it might be a personal account, unfollow. And following on from that, any accounts that you find inspiring and uplifting, make sure you follow them. Follow people that make you feel lighter. So people like Vicky that I talked about before, sort of providing like nice insight on the news, but not just that, just accounts that kind of make you smile, really. Follow people that make you smile and that drag you up out of it, not drag you down into it. Because yes, there are horrors going on in the world at the moment, but you losing your mind with anxiety and not being able to look after your family is not going to help the situation. So you just really need to do everything you can to protect yourself so that you can look after your family. My next tip is to take some time to read. Now this is really something I've always found quite indulgent. It's something I've maybe found time to do on holidays, but I'm never normally, because by the time I've finished working and put the children to bed and then worked again, and then I'm just ready for sleep. So I am going to try and take the opportunity, easier said than done, but to squeeze in some actual reading for pleasure or reading for personal growth, whatever it might be. But if you don't normally have time to read, now's your time to try and squeeze some in. And of course, next tip, enjoy a Netflix binge, because why ever not? If you have got some time on your hands during this whole lockdown, then what could be more indulgent than family movie nights and indulging in binge watching series of things on Netflix you never have time to see normally. The other thing you can binge watch, of course, is YouTube content, like, you know, maybe this channel. So my next tip is to stay in touch while keeping apart. So use FaceTime, use WhatsApp video, use Zoom, use whatever means you can to video call the people that you love that you can't be with in person, because at least you feel a little bit closer to them by having that visual connection rather than just being on the phone or text. My next tip is to start journaling. Now this is something I've been doing for a while, and just really getting down your goals every morning. It's a place to put your gratitude, it's a place to put your planning for the future. So everything I was talking about, how you see your life being after this, and really focusing on that, and focusing on that as being a positive when all this is over. But journaling and taking the opportunity to do that every day really will help your mental health. Have you got any tips for looking after your mental health through this whole crisis? I would love to hear them. Please leave them for me in the comments. I hope you are staying well and that your family is safe. If you've liked this video, please give it a massive thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. My latest video can be found across here, and some more content that you might like from my channel just down here. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe.